Well, it's been 2 years since the last E3 due to some circumstances, but it's back now, and today I'll be going over each of the major shows that were at E3 and what I liked or did not like about them. The first show was Ubisoft, and oh boy, it sure was Ubisoft, alright. I'm trying to think of the stuff I actually enjoyed, and I'm only coming up with a new Mario plus Rabbids, but that was leaked literally hours beforehand, so I wasn't really all that excited. I guess the new Rainbow game had some cool ideas. Far Cry looks like, Far Cry. The series isn't really known for its innovation. To me, it's pretty much Assassin's Creed, but with more guns. Speaking of Assassin's Creed, new DLC was announced. I haven't really played an AC since Origins, and I don't think I'm going to start now, but it looked interesting enough. The new Avatar game they announced could be cool if done right and isn't another FPS, because the world would be absolutely gorgeous to explore, so I hope it's more of an adventure game, but I doubt it's going to be what I'm envisioning in my head. But overall, not great, but not bad. 5 out of 10, it just needed more Just Dance for Wii. Next up was Xbox, which is actually pretty good. Starfield sure was a trailer, but I have some hope for it. Forza Horizon 5 looked absolutely stunning and pretty fun. And that new IP they revealed at the end of the show, Redfall, looked pretty alright. I just wish this trend of revealing a new IP with a few jokes, CGI, and zero gameplay would stop, because half of these I got no idea what these games are going to be like to actually play. But we did get a new Halo Infinite trailer with gameplay, and man does it look so much better. So glad they decided to delay it. I'm not a fan of the Halo franchise, but I can tell this made a lot of Halo fans happy. So good for them. Where their showcase really shined though was within its smaller games, not in its heavy Microsoft and Bethesda hitters. For example, Slime Rancher 2 looks fun as hell. Played the first one quite a bit a while back when it was free on Gold, and I enjoyed it a lot. Psychonauts 2 looked excellent as well, and we finally got a release date, so that's great. Somerville looks depressing as shit, and that is my jam, so excited to see where that one goes. They revealed a new Plague Tale sequel, which the first one looked great, but I never played it, but that might change, because this one looked good as hell. Replaced looks fucking amazing though. Easily my favorite game shown at the show. The art style looks amazing, same with the gameplay. I'm super excited for this one. Cannot wait to see what it does. Eiyuden Chronicles 100 Heroes looked gorgeous with the HD 2D style, so I'm actually pretty excited to play that. The Dragon Quest III remake is also doing the same thing, and honestly, I hope even more games start to do this, because I love it. I'd honestly give the right half of my body for Chrono Trigger or Final Fantasy VI remake in this style. Microsoft Flight Simulator looked great, and I could probably start a house fire if I ever tried installing it. So overall, I'd give this a 7 out of 10. Their bigger stuff didn't really do anything for me, but their smaller stuff sure as hell did. That just goes to show you, size doesn't matter. Up next was Square Enix, and I was so excited for this one, man. They revealed a new Guardians of the Galaxy game, which looks pretty fun, but they spent way too long on it, and it just became too boring for me to pay any attention to it in the end. They also revealed pixel remasters of Final Fantasies 1 through 6, and honestly, I will buy FF6 how many ever times it takes in order for Square to finally give this game the proper treatment it deserves. But the fact that these pixel remasters are only mobile and PC exclusive is incredibly stupid. I swear, the goal of these companies is to not make money. They then went into more Avengers content for the 6.5 Marvel fans who still play that shit, praying they find their way, man. Platinum showed off Babylon's Fall, whatever the hell that is. I only picked up that it was another live service game. The pain never ends. Life is Strange looked fairly good though. Never played it, but I might pick up that remastered collection. And then they showed Stranger of Paradise, which just looks like a 2000s punk album come to life in game form. This entire presentation was just Comic-Con, but with Eminem shouting chaos at the end. Overall, 4 out of 10. It gets most of its points from FF6 being mentioned and that it was somehow worse than Ubisoft. And I won't even talk about Capcom. Next up was Nintendo though, and holy shit, they nailed it. They began it with a Smash reveal, which wasn't really a surprise, but what was the surprise was the character, Kazuya Mishima from Tekken. He was only surprising to me because I didn't really even think of him, but looking at it now, it's a pretty obvious choice. They also had some other cool stuff like Danganronpa or Life is Strange, but their heavy hitters were what really shined for me. For example, the new Mario Party looked great, and I can't believe I have to say this, but online multiplayer being included from the beginning is great. The new WarioWare also looked pretty neat. Shin Megami Tensei 5 looked fun as well. The closest I've ever gotten to experience in the series though was with the first 10th of Persona 5 and a chunk of Persona 4, but I enjoyed those so I may just pick this one up. But then, we got a new Metroid. After all this time, a new 2D Metroid game. I've actually never played a Metroid game though. I own Metroid Prime 1 and 2, but I took a note after my parents and haven't paid any attention to them, but that may change soon. Metroid Dread looked phenomenal, and I cannot wait to get my hands on it. It looked fresh and new with this really cool vibe. It just looks so good. Where I lost my shit this direct though was in the Zelda section. I love this series. It's my favorite franchise of all time, and I got a whole ass shelf dedicated to these games. Skyward Sword HD looks cool, but if you've already played it, I wouldn't say it's worth getting for $60 again, but that's just my opinion. But the Zelda Game & Watch looks cool. I just wish we were getting more for its 35th anniversary, but it's whatever. But Breath of the Wild 2, holy shit, this looks outstanding. I knew they were going to do something with the sky, and it looks absolutely stunning to boot. And Link's new arm looks cool as hell to use as well. The castle being in the sky is really cool, and I cannot wait to see what the final boss will look like. We got more horny enemies that can now ride each other. That's always neat. Breath of the Wild 2 is easily my most hyped game without question. But overall, I'd give this director presentation an 8.5 out of 10. Up next after Nintendo is Bandai Namco, and this show was extremely disappointing. All they showed was one game, and that was Dark Pictures Anthology House of Ashes. I was really hoping to see some cool stuff from the show, like the rumored My Hero Academia Fighter Z style fighting game, or maybe some more stuff on Elden Ring, but no, we got one game. I think it would have been better to just title this Bandai Namco Presents House of Ashes, so as to not lead people on into thinking that they would actually show shit. But in conclusion, this E3 was definitely just trying to get the show back on its feet, and while it did stumble a lot, I think they definitely found their stride through Xbox and Nintendo. But hey, here's to hoping next E3 is even better, and maybe, just maybe, Square can finally do the incredibly hard and rigorous task of porting Chrono Trigger.